Hey class, I hope all is well. If you have not watched the Maslow Hierarchy of Needs or the documentary film The Corporations, please go ahead and do so. I do know that the Corporations video is quite lengthy, but it is a very, very good documentary if you have not seen already. It's really going to challenge yourself in a couple different ways. One of them being, do you see yourself working in a corporation or business setting like that? And if you do, then great. If you don't, then what else? What's Plan B? Another thing is you have to choose, are you going to continue to support corporations like that? As your hard earned money, are you willing to give that away to a corporation or a type of business that has a specific set of values? And that kind of brings us back to what this chapter and what this is about. Um, this, I feel personally, this is something that is really going to shape your career. There's a couple chapters in this book that I feel really help shape your career and kind of narrow down choices, especially if you're kind of on the fence about specific ones. So I know, again, there's a 2-hour documentary, another video we have to watch. So this I won't go into too much detail with the lecture, but this is something that's very important. So I appreciate you guys for viewing all this stuff. So what are values in the typical setting? Again, would be in a classroom, and then we talk to a partner about what you think values are. But because we're not, we'll go ahead and move through, especially with that long documentary. So the values are the self motivators that and are that and indicators that you consider most important in your life. What are your priorities? You probably heard that word many times before. Well, maybe you haven't, but growing up, I did. I made a lot of mistakes, and my dad especially be like, "What, like priorities? Like, what are you doing? Get your act together." And I was always like, "Whatever. Like, it'll figure itself out." And it didn't always figure itself out. So, what values are reflected in what you actually do with your time in your life? So, you might say, I don't know what my priorities are. Well, those are often the things that you do the most. So, if you're not doing homework, if you're not doing schoolwork, um, whatever else you're doing, whether that's a type of sport, whether that's relationships, personal, social, maybe that's video games, that is your priority. That's what's going to take the most amount of your time. And to be honest, a lot of times we're really good at what we prioritize, right? Practice, our perfect practice makes perfect. So if I'm spending, hours upon hours every single week doing a specific task, I'm going to get pretty good at it, right? I hope. Um, but that's what you value, at least at this point in your life. So why is it important to have values in your work and career? Well, again, and you're going to hear me mention this throughout this semester, is you you want to make sure you do something that you love. You don't want to work 30, 40 years doing something that you hate. And that's going to boil down to what do you value in your career? What do you value in your work? Do you value working by yourself? Do you value working as a team? Do you value helping others in need? Do you value money? Do you value travel when that was a thing? What is going to make you smile? What doesn't take the most of your time? And what do you truly want? So again, if you're right on the fence about two different career choices, and one is maybe traveling a lot and one is not traveling that much or at all, and you really, really value exploring the world and you value travel, you're probably going to eventually lean more towards the one with travel, right? Opposed to, working in an office 9 to 5, whatever that looks like. Because again, you want to enjoy whatever it is that you're going to do. So clarifying your values. So when you're young, you generally take your parent or your caretaker's values. So for instance, maybe your caretaker parent values hard work and dedication. Maybe they value religion. Maybe they value healthy eating. Maybe they value their spirituality. But when you're a young adult or child, you don't question these things because that's probably the only thing that you know. Okay, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This is when we go to whatever religious house you attend. You only think about it. That's what it is. Okay, at this time, this day, our family does X, Y, or Z. Um, we eat this specific foods, or we stay away from these specific foods. We watch these TV networks. We watch these shows. We go on these social media platforms. We listen to these podcasts. We listen to these radio stations, and they're all going to promote different values. If you haven't realized that already, even as simple as when you're in a high school classroom, middle school classroom, a college classroom. As much as we really try to hide our values to be super neutral about things, they're going to come out because the things you're passionate about are going to follow you through whatever those are about. So again, when you're young, you don't know as much as you do when you're older, obviously. So your values are going to be glued or attached to your caretaker, who or your parent, or maybe I don't know, a YouTuber, someone that you follow closely. So when you enter young adulthood or adulthood, you start to ask the question why. And a lot of people, especially older adults, in my opinion, don't really like the question why, because they say like, whoa, 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 you never asked these questions before, but now you're asking why we go to this religious house, or we eat this specific food, or we do this on this day, or we watch these TV programs or news outlets or whatever. But now you're asking why. And most likely, the reason why you're asking why is because maybe you're in school, you're hanging out with different people from different cultures, different religions, different socioeconomic backgrounds, and they do things differently. And you're starting to think to yourself, well, I like what, Susan, I don't know who's named Susan anymore, but I like what Susan does with her family. How come I don't have something similar? Or why does, Tom have X, Y, or Z and I don't have these things? Or why do I have these things and do these things when they don't? So you really start to develop as a young adult your own set of values, and you get to pick and choose what you personally again value, what you think is important, and kind of stick away from things that you might not think of as important. And oftentimes, especially when dealing with mental health, and I talk to clients, they're going against what they were brought up with, and it really affects them because you're really questioning yourself, like, why am I straying away from my I can't talk to my specific culture, my specific religion, my specific ethnicity, my specific whatever that might be. But again, there's no right or wrong. You shouldn't feel guilty for asking why, because those are important things, and it might actually reaffirm what you're thinking. Oh yeah, that's why my family does this. That feels really good to do, or maybe I don't like that. That's not something I want my children to go through if you plan on having children in the future. And this is going to constantly evolve. As we'll find out. So it kind of goes into the next thing. Do your values change over time? And some absolutely will. Um, they often say that you don't care about something until it directly affects you. And, maybe that has to do with COVID as well. A lot of people thought like, oh, it's a hoax. It's not real. And then themselves or a family member or someone gets it and is severely affected, and then you realize, oh no, this is a real thing, and I need to value this, I need to take it serious. So adults can do dramatic changes in their person and career lives based on changes in circumstance and based on your values. So again, maybe you were head over heels for a company, or maybe one of the companies that we viewed in the documentary The Corporations. and you find out they're doing things that don't exactly agree with your personal values. Maybe they're polluting the ocean. Maybe they're outsourcing their work. Maybe they have a hard stance on a particular politician or law that you think that you're for or against. So your values might change with that. And this can be traumatic for everyone involved. And what that means is if you have a close group of friends, if you have your family or whatever that might be, and all of a sudden you pull the rug from underneath them, say, hey, I'm not going to do this anymore, that might disrupt the family or friendship or your finances or whatever that might look like. So again, all your personal experiences are really going to help shape you as an individual. I think that's so important, as you've probably realized from the documentary series or documentary show, I should say, because it's not a series. So prized and cherished. When you cherish something, you exclude enthusiasm, enjoyment about it, and you're proud to display it. So that's essentially what it is. Like, I don't know if you, and maybe you could YouTube this if your eyes aren't burning already from watching all these videos. I apologize, but I think they're super important and helpful. Elon Musk, or if you watch Apple or Samsung or these big corporations, either the founders or the CEOs, or whatever, they're talking about the newest car, the newest iPhone, the newest Samsung Galaxy, the newest whatever it might be, and they're excited and they're proud and they're you could just tell by their body language that it's their prized and cherished possession, right? And that also goes with careers. Hey, I'm a counselor and I help people, and that's what I love to do. And that might be something when you'll know what it is until you catch yourself doing that. And it could also go the other way. You could also hate something and talk poop about it all day. So publicly affirmed. So you're willing and perhaps even eager to state your values in public. Mother Teresa, if you know who she is, took every opportunity to refer to her faith as a cherished and publicly affirmed value. So this is my belief system, and I believe in this because of X, Y, and Z. And it might be a little bit more relatable now, but if you follow these influencers and if they're being truthful, they're gonna promote a certain brand, and most likely it's gonna be their brand because they're trying to sell a product. But they're gonna say, hey, I use if you're a female or you're male and you wear makeup, I use this type of makeup, or I use this type of makeup remover, or if you like to work out, I use this, I use this technique, or I use this brand, or whatever it might be. It can also be someone who, again, is the religion, or even what they eat. I know a vegan, and she takes every opportunity to remind me that she's a vegan. I don't mind. I think it's funny at times. I'm sorry. I like, cheese on pizza. I don't know. Although they do have some good vegan cheeses. Chosen freely. No one else is pressuring you to act a certain way. You own the values that you take a part in. Some examples include people who choose to be a vegetarian diet or religious or spiritual path. So that's a little different than publicly affirmed. So that's kind of like showing publicly affirmed is saying, hey, this is what I am, world, take it or leave it, but this is my belief system, and I'm going to talk about it more. Where this is a little bit more covert, this is a little bit more under the radar, where I don't care if there's 100 people in the room or just myself, I'm going to act this way, I'm going to eat this way, I'm going to do whatever it is this way, whether you believe in it or not. And if you do, cool. If you don't, it's not my problem, it's your problem. And you could probably think of examples for that. So actually, I'm going to make sure I'm recording really quick. Okay, good. I am recording. I've done that before and I wasn't recording. chosen after consideration and consequences. So you're offered a job across country, far away from where you live. Well, what do you do? What if it's in a state that doesn't have the same political agenda that you do, or the same values, or perhaps it's a different type of weather? You're going to have to really weigh your pros and cons. Personally, could I see myself working in not California? I don't know. I truly love California. It's not only because of the weather and I will surf or whatever else. It's also other factors. So you're offered a well-paying job, but their business ethics go against your personal ethics. Again, going back to the documentary, the corporations. Um, for instance, Coca-Cola. They wanted to obviously not lose their European profits, so they made Fanta drink, and they sold it straight to the Nazis. So you have American corporation selling drinks to the Nazis, getting Nazi currency, but they're making it their own, right? Or you have Ford, who is creating trucks that's actually moving German troops to go kill the Allied forces. Could you see yourself working for those corporations? IBM, at the death camps, taking, numbers of individuals that are being killed. Could you see yourself using an IBM computer or even working for these corporations? That's a decision for you to decide. And what if they throw a blank check at you saying, "Hey, we really need your skill set"? Do you do it? Again, no judgment. That's going to be entirely up to you. But I think these are very, very important for you to decide. You're presenting with a dinner check, and then they forget to charge you for a food that you ordered. The waiter may or may not get into trouble. What do? Again, you've probably been at a restaurant, maybe not lately due to COVID, but maybe they forgot to add something to your check. Now, I know when they add something, you definitely didn't buy it. You would be the first one to point out, "Hey, I never got my extra fries," or whatever that might be. Could you take off the check, right? But you also need to get the check and you say, "Oh, they didn't charge me for this." What do? Ethically, do you leave it, or do you take the hit? Again, that's for you to consider. And the reason why I put that one on, because it might be my skew might be so little compared to a job or a career or traveling or whatever it might be. But it goes to show you that our values spread closely and they spread far. As far as it could be a simple little $5 item, or it could be a huge check leading to our future career working for a corporation. Sorry, I'm trying to go as effectively as possible, but I also don't want to make this video too long, because I do feel bad that you've watched quite a bit of videos now, but again, these are very important. So needs and motivators, Maslow hierarchy of needs. This goes down to psychology. I've hoped you've watched the video by now. But the first one is, if you're building a house, if you're building a pyramid, you're going to need a strong foundation. So you need that food, that water, the warmth, the rest. If you're going to freeze to death or starve to death or dehydrate or not get enough rest, you're not going to make it more than a couple days, if that, right? They need safety. Guess what? I have food, I have water, I'm warm, but a tiger comes and eats me. I don't have safety or security. That's kind of a big one. So it kind of goes back to cave people that we talked about a couple chapters ago. The next one, cool. I got my safety, I got my food, I got my shelter, I got my warmth, I got my rest. Now you're looking for intimacy, relationships, friends, a culture, because you do need that as human beings. If you're stuck on a desert island by yourself, statistically, you're probably going to go crazy. You're going to start talking to yourself. You need that comfort of individuals, or at least an animal, maybe a dog or something. Plus, I guess humanity can't survive without intimate relationships, right? Eventually, we all die, and if there's no one to replace us, humanity would be completely wiped out within 100 years. As crazy as that is to think about. Esteem needs, prestige or feeling accomplished. It does feel good to have others recognize your hard work. Let's not pretend it doesn't. But if no one ever recognizes your hard work or thanks you, you're really going to question, am I good at this? And if you've had a job before, or maybe you're in a class and you've had a teacher not say something, you're really going to start thinking about these things, right? And self-actualization, achieving own full potential. So you have all these things and you start to realize, I did it. And sometimes this is in the later parts of our careers, where we could really sit back and reflect. Obviously, it's not going to be your second day on the job and you're like, I accomplished so much. Because in reality, if it's your second day, you're still probably learning how to just log into your computer. But you're probably thinking, okay, what's this have to do with my career choice, right? I have most of those things already. Um, well, this is actually when it comes down to something similar, but it's for your job. So the first one, it would be, food, rest, shelter, etc. But now we're looking at wages. Is it enough to meet your bills? I love working at I don't say the zoo, but they pay me minimum wage, and I can't afford my car payment if you have one, and we'll talk about why you should get away from one in the future chapters. But can't afford my payments, can't afford my mortgage, I can't afford to go out, I can't afford presents for my kids, I can't. So without that wage, a comfortable living wage, again, it's a foundational thing. You can't have any of these other parts we're going to talk about. Another thing is, hey, I got my comfortable living wage. Maybe that number to you is 50, 60, 70, 80,000 or whatever you personally need. And we're going to talk about what number you personally need to live your lifestyle, but that's later on. Okay, so for me, I know I need to make $100,000 a year to pay my mortgage, to pay my bills, to go to travel the world. But maybe the job security is not there, and maybe COVID is a reason because of that, and I got laid off, or maybe it's a temporary job and I don't have it anymore. Well, guess what? Those bills aren't temporary. They're here to stay monthly, right? So again, without a good enough wage and without job security, you can't have your social needs. So work colleagues that support you at work. So maybe you get paid well, maybe your job is secure, but you absolutely hate your coworkers or you hate going to work. That's going to take a huge toll on you. And if you already work, maybe you don't necessarily get along with everybody you work at, and you have to decide, can I work through this, or should I start looking at a different job or career choice? Okay, great. You got your wage, you got your job security, your coworkers you can either tolerate or you like, but maybe you're not recognized in that particular job, or there's no room for growth. Hey, I'm an entry level position. Yes, I'm comfortable with the pay. Yes, the job security is there. Yes, my coworkers are really nice to me, but they're not going to hire for the next level for 5 to 10 years. Am I okay with working this one position for 5 to 10 years without getting a promotion? Or do I want to go to a different company where there's more growth in that particular company? And then the last part is, kind of goes hand in hand with this one, is, am I being recognized for job well done? And is that going to lead to a promotion? Or do you even want a promotion? Do I want more responsibilities? To be perfectly honest, I don't want more responsibilities unless the pay follows it, right? If someone came to me and says, hey, we got this wonderful opportunity, we're going to put you in charge of this department, I'm going to think to myself, so if I'm going to be working extra hours, am I going to be compensated for the hours? Is my salary going to go up? Is my hourly going to go up? What's going to offset this extra work? Something to really think about, because it does come up for sure. Companies want more productivity with sometimes not extra pay. So again, here's just an extra chart. I feel that we went through it pretty adequately. But you could pause this and kind of go through it as well. And this is, again, when we're in a class, you would make your own pyramid. Again, we're not going to do that because I feel I've asked quite a bit about, or quite a bit of you guys this week. I know this lecture was pretty short and sweet. So again, you're probably getting familiar with my quiz styles. A lot of you are doing very, very well. If you're struggling a little bit with the quizzes, please reach out to me. I'm here for you guys. With that being said, I'll go ahead and end the video. Again, please reach out. I'm here for you guys.